So Chelsea have parted ways with manager Enzo Maresca as of yesterday. And could this be the beginning of one of the most wild manager merry-go-rounds we've ever seen? Welcome, Blue Believers, to another episode of the Stamford Sync, where we are syncing up with everything Chelsea FC. And today, that means diving straight back into the massive news that is basically dwarfing everything at the moment, isn't it? And it is about the departure of Enzo Maresca from Chelsea, who might take his place in the hot seat and what that could mean for other teams around us. But guys, before we get into today's video, if you are enjoying the content and would like to see more, please do me the distinct honour of liking and sharing the video, subscribe to the channel, or just roast me in the comments, whatever gets you through your day. Right, so let's just get into it, man. Let's get into it. So we're going to talk about today three people in particular. We are going to talk about Enzo Maresca and a wild rumour that I've seen about where he may end up. We are going to talk about the proposed replacement for him at Chelsea in Liam Rosinia, who seems to be the odds-on favourite at the moment, and also who might be taking his place at Strasbourg in Callum McFarlane. So first up, let's get into Liam Rosinia. Who is he? Where's he come from? What are his credentials? Is he good enough? Let's just kind of break it down. Liam Rosinia, in his playing days, was a fullback / winger who played at quite a lot of clubs but never really had a huge amount of success as a player. He played for Bristol, Fulham, Reading, Hull, and ended his playing career at none other than Brighton, because we love a Brighton link, don't we? He featured a few times internationally for England's youth setup but never got a cap for the men's team, and that is his playing career in a nutshell, so nothing spectacular there. After retiring at Brighton as a player, he moved to be the assistant manager for their youth team. He then took over from Wayne Rooney at Derby County as an interim manager after Wayne Rooney was sacked. He had about 2.5 seasons at Hull City, where he was also sacked, supposedly because of difference in playing styles wanted by the hierarchy and himself. And finally, as we know where he is right now, he joined Strasbourg, being hired by Blueco in July 24. So although nothing spectacular necessarily up until the Strasbourg move, his time at Strasbourg has been amazing, man. He's done a really, really good job. So he took over from Patrick Vieira, who, you know, basically got them down to 13th and things weren't particularly going well. Blueco had just bought them at this point as well, and when Patrick Vieira left, also of mutual consent, which is interesting, they seem to love that, don't they, trying to find ways to get rid of their managers without having to give them massive payouts. Liam Rosinia was hired and undoubtedly has been an unmitigated success for Strasbourg since. He finished 7th with them last year, he got them into the Conference League, he was a sniff away from getting them into the Champions League, and at the time of writing, they are 7th in Ligue 1 again, and also top of the Conference League. He's a big fan of youth players. He plays a similar style of football to Enzo Maresca, but as far as we're aware, he doesn't make quite as much use of inverted fullbacks. But he likes slow building up from the back, and he likes fast transition. He is really, really admired by Blueco, and that kind of makes sense, do you know what I mean? Because they hired him in the first place, and he's actually had the longest career of a Blueco manager so far. That is absolutely wild, because we have obviously been churning out managers or churning through managers for the last couple of seasons, but Liam Rosinia has managed to make himself really well appreciated and ultimately got himself a contract extension up until 2028 at Strasbourg. And he is all about the youth thing, man. Do you know what I mean? He's all about the youth thing. He's got a lot of character, actually. I really like that about him. I've been watching a couple of his, team talks and stuff in between when they're half-time in games and stuff, and he has a translator obviously, but he goes in with a lot of fire and a lot of passion, and I really like that. He also doesn't think that players should just be written off because they're young. I can't remember, I'll only be paraphrasing this, what he said in one of those videos, but he was interviewed about his youth first mentality, and he said, as far as I'm concerned, it's not really about the age of the player. A player's a player, you treat them the same based on their talent and their profile, not necessarily their experience. That is not exactly necessarily what Chelsea fans are going to want to hear, because we all think we need a bit of experience in the squad, don't we? But there is some argument to be had that even though Maresca knew he was going to enter this youth first kind of idea that he was in, it seems evident that he didn't trust some of the young players that we had, the likes of Andre Santos, Yorohato, really struggling to get minutes. And that's the other thing with Liam Rosinia, isn't it? He knows half of the squad that we want, not half, but he knows a few players in the squad that we've already got, and he will know some of the players that will be coming back from Strasbourg at the end of the season, vis-a-vis at least Mike Penders and Emmanuel Omega. So is it a good appointment? Don't know, man. I think this is the thing at the moment, isn't it? It's like Chelsea's such a basket case club that are run essentially so badly. Liam Rosinia could be a brilliant choice. Do you know what I mean? If we were outside of this situation, it'd be a lot easier to look at it. But at the same time, because we're inside the situation we're in, it's quite kind of hard to look at Liam Rosinia and get excited. And it's not even about Liam Rosinia at this point. I think any manager, the only manager I'd be really excited about would be Cesc Fabregas. That looks like that's not going to happen. And that's largely because he's got a lot of the same credentials tactically and in managing football football teams as Liam Rosenior has, but he's obviously got the Chelsea connection, and we know that he has such a phenomenal career as a player and played under so many amazing managers that he could have learned from. But ultimately, like I say, it's really difficult to say. So if Liam Rosenior comes in, of course, I'm backing him 100%. I'm not going to be Rosenior out, because at this point, and I'm starting to break, it's just not really down to the managers at this point, is it? Like, we're hearing so many stories coming out about the difficulties that they're having, the managers and the coaches are having coaching the team because of interference from the owners. So at the end of the day, unless Liam Rosenior turns out to be so much tactically better than Maresca that he is able to work under the same conditions that Maresca was struggling with, then potentially we could just see the same thing happen in the next 6 to 12 months. But either way, like I say, if he comes in, I back him 100%, and I'm ready to throw myself behind the next Chelsea manager, because that's what we got to do, man. Ultimately, whoever owns the club is a custodian, but I will always be a blue believer, as I hope you guys will always be, and I'm never going to start trashing managers the second they've come in. Do you know what I mean? We've got even Graham Potter. Do you know what I mean? I wasn't super excited about Graham Potter, but I was willing to give him a chance. He proved that he wasn't good enough. Maresca didn't necessarily prove that he wasn't good enough, and like I say, it's actually a really difficult conversation to have now about how difficult that job was for him. But at the end of the day, the results speak for themselves recently, and just looking at the results, you can see why, maybe it's time to look at something fresh, and that is what we're doing. So if Liam Rosenior comes in, which I expect to hear in the next few days, I will back him 100%. But that does leave the obvious question. Liam Rosenior is currently the manager of Strasbourg. Strasbourg is owned by the same big corporation that owns Chelsea. So who gets the Strasbourg hot seat? Because that's a lot of work to do, isn't it? We're looking to have to make not we as Chelsea fans, but Blueco as the owners are making it so they have to make 2 managerial appointments, and they are totally looking internally to get that done. So if Liam Rosenior sidles along from Strasbourg to Chelsea, then there is growing belief that Callum McFarlane, the current under-21s manager under-23 manager at Chelsea, will move over to Strasbourg and get his first taste of managing a proper club. Interestingly enough, also, it looks like Callum McFarlane is going to be taking the press conference for the Man City game, and it also looks like he's going to be in the dugout for that game as well. I don't necessarily know whether he's going to manage the team. It sounds like there's going to be like a team of people kind of trying to put the tactics together or whatever for that, and this might be an absolute mess. But as far as we know right now, Callum McFarlane is going to be leading the team into the Man City game, and potentially is lined up to replace Liam Rosenior at Strasbourg as well. Interesting thing, or is it interesting at this point, or is it literally just the most obvious thing in the world? Callum McFarlane is also from the Man City academy setup. Much like some of our players, he got a lot of his initial experience being part of the academy setup, right, as a coach. So I imagine Joe Shields has probably nipped him over. Like, I didn't really know anything about him until the last few days, obviously, because he's been linked with, obviously he's going to take us for the Man City game, and he's been linked with the Strasbourg move. But it just seems very on brand for Blueco at the moment, doesn't it? The manager that we've had got his initial chops at Brighton and was a player at Brighton, so that link's still there, and the manager that's looking at going to Strasbourg is also of the Man City academy setup. It just writes itself at this point, doesn't it? It literally just writes itself at this point. I don't really know much about Callum McFarlane, other than, the thing is, this whole idea of how we play is kind of going to be top to bottom now, isn't it? This will be the reason why they want to bring in Liam Rosenior, because apart from a few distinct changes, like potentially the inverted fullbacks, we're probably largely going to play in the same way. I only hope we put a bit less emphasis on the wingers and try and get some of our attacking midfielders and strikers more into the games. So where does that leave Enzo Maresca? So the one thing that hasn't been talked about a lot is, where is Maresca going to go? It felt like he might just take the rest of the season as a bit of a sabbatical, pop over to Italy, have a coffee in the morning and a wine at lunchtime, because that's how the Europeans like to do it. Trust me, I lived in France for 4 years and they definitely like a lunchtime drinky poo. But at the end of the day, that would have made sense. Do you know what I mean? Take a sabbatical. I don't know how this affects the potential news about Maresca being linked to Man City. Guardiola has actually come out today in one of the interviews or whatever he's done and reiterated how much he likes Enzo Maresca, and refused to kind of state whether he's going to leave Man City at the end of the season or not. So this is the thing, isn't it? If Guardiola decides to stay at Man City for another year, then Maresca hasn't got that open to him until at least the end of next season. I have seen a wild rumour today. It is absolutely wild, man. Supposedly, Enzo Maresca is being linked to replace Thomas Frank at Tottenham. Mate, scenes. Absolute scenes if this happened. And you would think if this happened, like, this is a rumour at the moment, non-substantiated, but the day before Enzo Maresca left Chelsea, that was also a non-substantiated rumour. So these things are evolving quickly at the moment. Tottenham Hotspur having a terrible season. They finished 17th last season and are currently 12th, which, yes, is progress, but when you look at where Man United are, bearing in mind they finished 15th last season and they're now like in the hunt for top 4 with us, obviously it's not enough of an improvement from Tottenham, isn't it? Thomas Frank was lauded as the saviour, man. Do you know what I mean? After Ange's suicide football, you know, Frank was going to come in and steady the ship, but ultimately he's really struggled. Tottenham are still looking very Spursy, and they are, you know, 12th, yes, is an improvement, but at the same time, it's not good enough, is it? The amount of money that goes into the team, the amount of money the club makes, this is 100% well too low for where Tottenham really should be. And so I had a chat with Kai on one of my streams, and he was talking about, he thinks that Thomas Frank might be out the door soon, and I was like, oh, already? That seems crazy. And in my head, it's still Brentford Thomas Frank, do you know what I mean, who obviously did such a good job there. But at the same time, Spurs are rubbish this season, do you know what I mean? They're doing really badly. Their results are really inconsistent, and Thomas Frank is not exactly winning the hearts of Tottenham fans. Would Enzo Maresca go in and win the hearts of Tottenham fans? I'm not 100% sure. So, you know, do you like inverted fullbacks, Tottenham fans? Because if you get Maresca, you're gonna see a lot of that. It's really interesting, isn't it? Because Tottenham squad is definitely better than 12th at the moment, and you would have thought with the right manager, not necessarily a better manager, because I am at a point at the moment where I think it's difficult to say whether Thomas Frank is a better manager than Enzo Maresca or vice versa, because their situations are just so different. Do you know what I mean? Ultimately, Thomas Frank did amazing with that Brentford team for a really long time, really consistently. Enzo Maresca has got good results out of the Chelsea team, but has also failed to beat Leeds and only got 2 points against Bournemouth and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? So it's really difficult to balance at the moment. If Enzo Maresca goes to Tottenham, that will kill all of the goodwill that he's got with Chelsea fans at the moment. At the moment, Chelsea fans are very much backing Enzo Maresca against the ownership. They're supporting the fact that he's walked away because he's struggling to work under this ownership. And at the moment, all of the all of the targets are being aimed at the ownership, at the sporting directors, for this mess being all of their fault. You would have to think if Enzo Maresca goes to Tottenham, like, that could change really quickly, couldn't it? Because all of a sudden then he's just a traitor, he's a fraud, and you know, at the end of the day, it won't mean anything to him because he's obviously walked away from Chelsea now anyway. It would be interesting to see what happened to the narrative if Enzo Maresca took the Tottenham job. And also, if Enzo Maresca takes the Tottenham job, that would be some indication in itself that Pep probably isn't going to leave at the end of the season, or maybe that there's been some indication that he's not as high up on that shortlist for the Man City job as he'd like to be. So that's where we are, guys. That's where we are. The crazy, wild transfer merry-go-round. The understandable one, which is almost definitely going to happen at this point. Rosinia to Chelsea, McFarlane to Strasbourg. That makes sense just within the structure of what we've got. And they are building internal people. Do you know what I mean? They already know that Liam Rosinia is a company man. Liam Rosinia has been a company man for longer than Enzo Maresca has, and Liam Rosinia technically has kind of had a harder job than Enzo Maresca has, because you've got to think, yeah, Enzo Maresca is not getting the players that he wants, and there's potentially issues with the medical team telling him how long he can play players and stuff and all of that. Liam Rosinia will be experiencing the exact same thing at Strasbourg, but also Liam Rosinia has had his squad gutted twice, do you know what I mean, and refilled with Chelsea young academy players, and he's just totally up for it. So I guess, you know, if there's any positives we can look at all, Liam Rosinia is going to be more willing to work under the Chelsea system because he's already been working under the Chelsea system out at Strasbourg. At the end of the day, all of that same stuff that exists here will probably exist over there as well. Our sporting directors for Chelsea have been making a big part of the decision-making factor, of who is going in and out of Strasbourg as well. So this isn't going to be new. This isn't going to be like Maresca, where he came in and he didn't know what he was in for. Liam Rosinia has been there for 2 seasons already. He's had success there. He knows what the model is and he knows what to expect. And as far as Liam Rosinia is concerned, this is just an upgrade, isn't it? So whether he's good enough is the question, but I don't think what we will see with Liam Rosinia is him having issues with the model, because he understands the model. He's been working in it for a few years already. So if anything, hopefully that can create some harmony. I'm only trying to look for positives, man. I'm not deflecting from the ownership at all. It's an absolute mess. It's really terrible. I'm really interested to see what's going to happen at the games with the match going fans soon. I wouldn't be surprised to start seeing banners and chants and stuff like that coming along. But just in terms of wanting my team to turn the results around, Liam Rosinia probably coming in. I'm just trying to look for some positives, and that's what I think they are. So, guys, I'm going to wrap the video up there. Thank you very much for sticking around until the end if you did. If you are chilling and you've got some time to kill and you want to listen to some Stamford Sync, but not just Stamford Sync, me talking to a couple of my friends as well, check out this video here. well, which is a video I did with Talking Chelsea and Behind the Dugouts about the whole Enzo Maresca situation. Absolutely unbelievable chat. Loved having the guys on, and it was a great conversation. Take it easy, guys. Have a wicked day, and I'll catch up with you very, very soon. Peace.